Welcome to another Nero Global Tracking webinar. Today we'll be reviewing an enhancement to the dispatch and navigation feature in your system, also known as the Garmin feature. We'll be talking regarding driver ID and status. My name is Matt Nash, and I lead product development for Nero Global Tracking. Part of the reason why we wanted to go ahead and enhance the dispatch and navigation interface are some of the challenges that you see on your screen right now. It can be a complex record-keeping process, a bit of a headache process, and a difficult overall thing to manage if your drivers share vehicles. Now, some of you operate in an environment where there's always one driver to one vehicle. But others of you may have a pool of vehicles where any given day a driver could be in a different vehicle, or maybe just sometimes that happens. And when that does happen, there may be no historical record of which driver was operating which vehicle. This comes into play sometimes when you're looking at some of the reports in the system, and you see some information and you'd really love to know who was driving that vehicle on that day, and also what their status was throughout that day when they're operating the vehicle. You know, dispatchers, both in real time and for historical reasons, sometimes may wish to know what was the driver doing throughout the day, and when did they start their day, when did they end their day, when did they take their lunch, things like that, which all can be communicated through the Garmin interface with the new enhancement. The impact from some of these challenges are reduced productivity and increased errors in record keeping of trying to figure out who was in which vehicle. You've got decreased accountability as you've got a pool of shared vehicles as you don't know who was operating which vehicle. And then you've also got just time wasted from the dispatcher and the driver's side of, you know, what's your status, when is the job going to be finished, things like that. The solution is twofold. One is implementing on the Garmin and in our web interface something called driver status, and that allows a dispatcher, so a dispatcher is someone who's operating the web interface, at a glance to be able to see the current status of a driver as the driver has reports self-reported. You can see that status on a map. You can also see it in our dispatch tab, and I'll get into the details of what our dispatch tab is, and also in historical reports for later review. The second part is driver ID, and this allows you as a dispatcher to send jobs and messages to a driver. And what I mean by that is before you were able to send jobs to a vehicle, and that really worked well when it was one driver for one vehicle. No matter which vehicle a driver gets into, as long as they key in their driver ID, they're going to be able to receive their own specific jobs and messages, regardless of which vehicle that they're operating. I'm going to go right ahead and jump right into the system. On the left side, I actually have a webcam going, and I have a Garmin device that's sitting here on my desk. And then over on the right-hand side is the web portal. So there's kind of that two environments, and we'll be able to send messages back and forth between the two. So just from a real quick introduction to it, I'll actually take my Garmin back to the home screen so you see where I'm starting from. When a driver starts their day, now with the driver ID and status, after they click on dispatch, you may have noticed if you've been using the system before, and for those of you that are new, you now want to look at this driver info tab. You simply go ahead and click on this, and this enables this driver to set their driver ID for this Garmin. I'm going to go ahead and type in my driver ID. Just click on Done. It will then ask me to set my status. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm on duty. And now this information is communicated back over the wireless network through the vehicle tracking beacon that is in the vehicle, over the internet and back into your web portal. And that information can be picked up in a number of different ways, both on the map and in the dispatch tab and in historical reports, as we've mentioned. One thing I'll just point out right away, you've got a message back on the Garmin, driver ID is set to Matt in. So that basically means it's been a successful driver ID switch If you typed in an incorrect driver ID, something that didn't exist in our system, it would then go ahead and indicate that. Now if I go on to the Dispatch tab, for those of you who are familiar with the system, you recognize this as basically your universal inbox. Quickly, what you'll notice is the addition of driver status over on the left-hand side. This is an informational panel that shows groupings of all the statuses that you've defined. So this is 100% customizable for your business. We've added in some ones that apply to Nero, such as begin lunch, end lunch, supplier, off-duty, etc. And here's the on-duty one that I just clicked on. And this enables you to click on any one of these groups, quickly at a glance see which drivers are in this status. And then if I ever wanted any more info on this driver, I just simply click on them. It's going to pop up a little information box with information on me. And then also set the filter over here on the right-hand side to only jobs and messages for the driver Matt N. I'm going to go ahead and change my filter back to all vehicles so we can see all the messages that have come in. Also, what you'll notice when using this interface, if I click on Send Message or Send Job, instead of now choosing a vehicle group, I'm now choosing a user group. So now we've become very driver or person-centric. I'm just going to leave it on all user groups. I'm going to go ahead and select Matt and the driver. And I'm going to say, when will the job be done? I'm going to send a custom message, noon, 2 p.m. tomorrow, and then go ahead and click Send. And now as you see, this message in the Dispatch tab here is added into the queue. And over on the left-hand side, you may have heard the audible alert from the Garmin. It's also giving me a visual indicator that a message is now being delivered to the Garmin. I simply just click on that. It says, when will the job be done? I'd like to reply to it. We're running a little bit longer than we thought, so it's not going to be done by noon, but the job is going to be done by 2 p.m. And there we go. And now that information will flow back over the wireless network through the internet and into this Dispatch tab. This tab updates every 1 minute or so. If you ever wanted to update quicker, you just simply click on refresh, and there's that message. I've got it back. Will be done at 2 p.m. If I wanted to send a job, which is simply a short message with an actual job location as well, it's a very similar process. Now we can see if I wanted to go back. Now that I've done my, I've moved along in my day, I'm going to go back and click on the Garmin. I'm going to change my driver status. I'm moving into lunch. I'm taking lunch a bit early today. And now that information is then shared back with the system. And then you'll see now that Matt N has moved from the category on duty up to I'm beginning lunch. This information is also shared on Map View itself. I've gone back to the home screen now. I'm simply going to go ahead and click on Show Selected to bring up my map view. Just going to enlarge that screen to make it a little easier for everyone to see. And I'm going to switch from the vehicle or item-centric view. I'm going to switch to driver. Click on Show. And now I can select all of my drivers that have ever logged into the system. Now I can show their location on a map. Instead of showing just a vehicle name, I can now show where that driver is, no matter which vehicle that they've logged into. So here I'll click on Cy. Driver status is Cy is on duty. Last time located actually 4 days ago, and it looks like the vehicle's still being parked there. If I click on Matt N, as you can see, my driver status is I've begun lunch. The PND or Garmin status is okay, meaning that it's connected. And last time that this vehicle was located was at 10:35 a.m. What is also interesting in the map view portion when you're looking at the driver-centric view is you can click on driver status and then only show drivers that are in a particular status. So if I wanted to show all vehicles that are on duty, for example, click on Show Selected. And now you can see that I've got Psy is in the on-duty status. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to Matt N over here. Change my status to on duty. I should have also mentioned too, I'll bring the driver status back up here, is that you can select multiple statuses as well. So you could show drivers that are beginning lunch and ending lunch all in one screen, or you can select just the one as well. Now for historical reports, I simply go ahead and click on Reports, and there's been an addition of two new reports added, Dispatch Driver and Dispatch Vehicle. A Dispatch Vehicle report allows you to select vehicle names. I'm going to go ahead and run it for this month. And this type of report would be used when, for example, maybe you're looking at a report such as a stop report, which is done by vehicle. And you look at it and go, I wonder who was driving that vehicle and what status they had during that time range. I can then go ahead and select that vehicle, select any time range I'd like, and see who was driving that vehicle and what their statuses were. So you can see here, I'll pick on truck number 23 today. Matt was first logged in to truck 23, came on duty at 10:37. Then just a few minutes later, Sai actually jumped into the vehicle and keyed in his driver ID and came on duty. And then Matt jumped into that vehicle and took back the on-duty status at 11:14. Then if ever wants any more information on what happened with Matt as he was in that vehicle, I just click on this plus mark, and it will show me the different status changes throughout his time in that vehicle. All of these reports can be printed or exported just as other reports can as well. Now I've gone back to the report screen here, and let me run the dispatch driver report. So very similar information, but now I'm selecting a driver. So if I wanted to know which driver was driving which vehicle, this is the report that I would run. So I've gone ahead and I've selected 4 different drivers chosen for this month. I'll go ahead and create this report. And now we can see, if we look down at the bottom here, we choose Sai, we can see that he had switched between the actual vehicle named Sai and then jumped into truck 23 earlier today. Thank you very much for joining another Nero Global Tracking webinar. Today's session was on dispatch and navigation, driver ID, and status.